You cannot control your reality. You cannot control your results. But there is one thing you can control in this life, and that is your thoughts. You can learn to master your emotions and control your thoughts. That is the most idiotic, destructive idea you can walk around with, because it is not possible. Did you notice? Did you try to control your thoughts? Did you try to think positively all the time? Did you try to become a master of your emotions? How did that work out for you? My guess is that it didn't. And whenever we have a goal that cannot be achieved because it's simply not possible, like flying, right? And we don't achieve it, but we live under the illusion that other people achieved it, then the only thing left for us to do is to blame ourselves. And then we look upon yourself and we feel like failures. And that is absolutely the most destructive thing, the most destructive emotion, because it's pointed and targeted at the center of achievement, at the center of happiness, which is you. So we have to drop this notion and we have to get aligned with reality. What is reality? Well, that's what this video is about. So please stick with me. My name is Claus Levin, and you can go download our free course by clicking the link below. And please subscribe to this channel if this video is in any way useful. So what is really the reality of our thoughts and emotions? Well, what is really beneficial is if you stop considering this as you. And because normally we say, okay, I cannot control the outer world, but I can influence it, right? I can have my rituals, my habits every day. And if I do the right things over and over again, I learn, I go for a run in the morning, make sure I have the most resources possible, then I will produce results over time. Might go up and down, but over time, I will have a radically different life than people who don't do these things, right? But the same thing goes for your emotions. Those change outside of your control as well. And if you can start considering your emotions as something that happens to you, that you can then respond to, then you are in power. Because if you consider your emotions as being you, oh, I'm so sad. No, you're not. There's sadness in you. And if you can look at that and say, how will I respond to my own sadness? Well, I'll respond as a loving, considerate, empathetic adult, right? And say, I feel sad right now. What do I need? How can I take steps to get away from my sadness, to really, take care of myself? Then you have power. But the second you have this idea that, oh, here I go being frustrated again. Oh, here I go being depressed again. Oh, I have no self-discipline because now I feel, unmotivated. I have no motivation. I feel like lack of motivation. What's wrong with me? Again, I did the right things. I did the rituals. I did the priming every morning, and I had the right thoughts, and I did my affirmations, and I meditated, I took cold showers, and I worked out, but I still feel no motivation. What is wrong with me? What's wrong with you? There's nothing wrong with you, but there's something wrong with considering these rituals, all these things we do to make it easier to feel motivated. Those are not the source of motivation. The source of motivation is to refrain from self-blaming, and then to look at that lack of motivation as an emotion that you can respond to. So just like if it was another person, right? There's another person besides you who's not motivated. What would you tell that person? Oh, just, take a break then, take an hour, play video games, go for a walk, whatever. And then let's talk about what motivates you. Let's see if we can, just do 2 minutes of what you need to have done today. So let's say you just do 2 minutes of paying the bills, right? You are gentle. You are productive as a leader, right? You look at the whole person instead of going, why are you not motivated? You idiot, right? There's something wrong with you. You would never say that to another person, right? But we do so if we believe that I did all the right things and I'm still not motivated. There must be something wrong with me, right? That's a destructive, toxic thought. And we need, if we want, to be successful, to, have successful relationships and to make money and, have freedom, then we need to stop these kinds of attacks on ourselves. So see, what actually is going on is that you have frontal lobes. Those are the most advanced part of the brain and also the newest parts of the brain. And those are logical, those are intelligent, those can really come up with really complex strategies of how to achieve something or how to make stuff happen in between people or in the world. And then you have the lower parts of the brain who have emotional strategies, because that's all emotions really are. It's a strategy of trying to achieve something. So whenever you feel a negative emotion that you don't like lack of motivation, it's actually trying to achieve something. It has an aim, but it's dysfunctional in this world often, right? You know, like rage, what do we get out of that in our workplace, right? What do you get out of being jealous? Well, when you were a caveman or cavewoman, that was a pretty productive emotion, right? You just killed whoever was trying to take your woman or man, right? Or you just attacked, and then bam, you solved the problem, right? But it's a simple strategy that's super destructive nowadays, right? We demand more refinement in what we do today. Right? Like, you want to kill somebody, right? Everybody knows that emotion, right? I just want to kill him, right? But we don't do so because we know that that's a destructive, if we just give into that. But, 5,000 years ago, that might have been a good idea. Just kill him. Just get on with it, right? You die when you're 35 of old age, and you just, everything is about survival 5 or 10,000 years ago, right? So that strategy worked like it does in animals, right? But that whole old intelligence, that simple intelligence of trying to solve your problems, is still at work all the time. And it has its own brain, for cripe's sake, right? And so that is working all the time as you go about your life and you try to achieve stuff. That's why we feel frustrated and want to bang the table, is because you're trying to achieve something with your intelligence and it doesn't work, right? You don't get your result, and then boom, the lower parts of the brain takes over and just gets frustrated, right? And, and sometimes we just want to destroy the car that we're trying to fix, or the bicycle, or the project, or whatever it is, right? And that's the simple brain taking over, and you do not have control over that. You do not. And so forget about it. What you do have control over, to some extent, which is then influence and not control, right? Control is absolute. But what you can do with that is respond to it like a freaking adult. But you cannot do that if you think the emotion is somehow coming from you. It's not. It's just a mechanism, right? So you can learn to decipher your emotions, what they want, and you check out the videos on this YouTube channel here. You can learn to decipher them, figure out what they want and what you need to do about them as an adult. But you cannot do that if you live under the illusion that you should be able to control them and that you are them. I'm frustrated. Oh, I thought you were Tom. But now you say you're frustration, right? You're not frustration. You just feel frustration. And you can say, oh, I'm super frustrated. I need to take 10 minutes off right now. And then you go, get it out of your system to some degree, right? And say, okay, what am I frustrated about? What does that emotion want? It wants the result, right? It wants to just use violence to get the result. Is that going to work? No, it's not going to work, right? So what can I do instead? If you have that kind of dialogue with yourself, with no self-blaming over feeling that emotion, ever, whatever the emotion is, then you remain in power. Then you can influence that emotional system, but you cannot control it. The same thing goes for thoughts. Thoughts come very often from our emotional system. So the illusion that you can control them is only going to put you into self-blame. And when this system attacks itself, and when your system attacks itself, instead of attacking the problem, the challenge, then things get really ugly. That's when you become depressed. That's when you become paralyzed and cannot do anything. That's when you really become demotivated. That's when you really become sad. That is just the most awful thing you can give yourself, is that self-blame, that self-criticism. And it's the same thing. Just to conclude this video, the point is that the only thing you can do, you cannot control your thoughts. You cannot learn to master your emotions. The only thing you can become crazy good at is to consider your emotional system, your thoughts, another being, another person. And then you can respond to that other person like you would if you imagine how decent the person you are. What would a decent person say to that guy, that woman, that child, right? And if you respond like that to yourself, when you get emotions, when you get thoughts, when you get all kinds of stuff, when you feel tired, you wake up in the morning, you don't want to do it, how do you respond to yourself? Is it loving? Is it constructive? Is it productive? Is it caring? Or is it with criticism and with blame and with a whip, right? Just get going, right? You piece of, right? How do you And how would another human being really live under those conditions if you were the leader and you split personality? That's really what we're talking about here. So treat yourself in the most loving, the most productive, the most caring way possible. And it's not about meditation. It's not about taking long showers. It's not about taking, breaks. And it's not about that. It's about this one. And it's about considering your emotions and your thoughts as something you can respond to, not control, because that's going to bring you down. I hope that this makes sense to you. And I really look forward to seeing you in the next video here on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, click that button, and go download our free course.